The Packers, the Lions, Thanksgiving tomorrow, 3 games. We're going to look at some of them. Steve Merril, our last guest, is going to take apart the Packers and Lions game. Eric Pauly has a prop bet for us on the Dallas Commodores game. And Adam Trigger is going to jump ahead to Sunday and look at the Bears and the Vikings. You're watching WagerTalk Today, everybody. The best daily sports betting show on the planet. I'm your host, Lawrence Presman. Your co-host is Teddy Covers. And our first guest, the eloquent and loquacious Adam Trigger. Welcome to the show, my friend.
I mean, Commodores would be like the 4th new team name in the last 4 years if they go with that. But thanks for having me, and looking forward to breaking down some games with you guys before I go to the Colgate game at 2 p.m. out in Central New York. Great college basketball game that we're going to talk about in a minute as well.
Well, let's get into it. Talk a little NFL. Lawrence said it was Sunday, but in fact, you want to talk about the Monday night game for next week. That would be the Bears and the Vikings. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Minnesota minus 3.5. It's holding, but it doesn't. There's potential that it could go down to 3 here. Total sitting at 43. What do you like in the Monday night affair between the Bears and the Vikings?
Well, Teddy, based on how it's getting bet, I would probably agree that I think it's going to go to 3. The Bears are taking more sort of money early in the week than I expected they might, but that could be a Justin Fields return type of deal. So I'll go 2 plays here. I can't really decide which one I like more, so I'm going to give them both out, and we'll talk about side and total. So as far as the side is concerned, I really thought I was going to love the Bears in this spot, but last week didn't play out exactly as I would have liked it to come and bet the Bears. The Bears were really competitive, arguably should have won that game or could have won that game. And then, of course, the Vikings, they play another great game and get beat by a point. So I thought the Vikings would be potentially due for a letdown in this spot if they could have won. But that, happened that last week. But from a numbers perspective, I still think 3.5 is the value with the Bears. I think that if Justin Jefferson were to return, I don't think he'd make like a huge impact right away. So, what it comes down for me is, as far as the matchup is concerned, is who can move the ball more on the opposing defense. I see reasons to think that both of these defenses might be able to stop or slow down the opposing offense. And so for that reason, I actually think we could see yet another primetime under, which has seemed to be the thing. I'm not a huge totals bettor, but they seem to hit every week, Teddy, right up until last Monday night when the Eagles and Chiefs played under. The Bears have a surprisingly good run defense. Like, I don't think it gets talked about enough. Their defensive metrics against the run, they've been very, very good. So the question here for me is, can Dobbs exploit this Bears secondary? Because I still don't know that, as good as he's played, I don't know what I really think of him as a passer. And I think the Bears, ability to stop the Vikings running the ball could turn him into a passer. On the other side, Brian Flores has really revamped this Vikings defense. From the beginning of the season till now, it's night and day. They blitz constantly now, and Fields has never been great against the blitz. Also, the Bears are not going to run on the Vikings, who have a pretty good run defense. So I think Fields and Dobbs are both going to have to make some passes here to get the chains moving. And I'd be willing to bet against both of them not doing that. One of them might, but I don't know if both will. So I think it's an under. And if you forced a side play out of me here, I'd have to take the points with the Bears.
So I certainly agree with your sentiments about Minnesota's defense, a team that has, when you look at what it was, you watch that defense in September and you watch that defense now and you're like, what? Are these the same players? Brian Flores deserves some credit for putting that defense together. Maybe he'll get another chance as a head coach somewhere next year. But from a side standpoint here, I want to ask conceptually about Minnesota. This is a team that's basically been undervalued for the better part of the last month and a half. 6 consecutive spread covers, most of them by margin. They were underdogs 3 times and won them all straight up. 4 times, won 3 of the 4 straight up, and almost did last week as well. As a favorite, they were -1 and -3 during this span. So we haven't seen them cover a whole lot of numbers as chalk. But when you see a team that's on an ATS run like this, is your gut instinct, we want to step in front of it, we want to bet against that team, they're overvalued now? Does it vary by sport? Is it, hey, ride the trend till it dies? Talk to me about the streaks in the NFL.
So, Teddy, I mean, the ATS run they're on is certainly notable. It's impressive. I think it has a lot to do with how undervalued they've been since Dobbs has come in. I think that's had a lot to do with their ability to win and cover numbers. But in this case, the thing here and why I'm sort of more gravitating toward the total now is I was hoping to get the spot where we had the Vikings win a close primetime game and then have to come out and play another primetime game. That was the spot I was really looking forward to jump in with the Bears. Unfortunately, the Vikings, they weren't able to get over the hump on Sunday night. They lose a close primetime game. And now I do still think there might be like carryover from this has been a good spot if you look at other teams that have fallen into a similar situation, having to go play a Sunday night game and then having to play again on primetime the next week. But it's less sort of, me willing to bet on it because the Vikings lost. Maybe you get a little bit more focused effort with them at home. I think had they been coming off of a big win over the Broncos, it'd be a little bit easier to go against them here. So, I still think the 3.5 is probably the right play from a numbers perspective, but the spot has me less inclined to take the Bears now that it played out the way it did.
Adam Trigger, everybody. You can find Adam at WagerTalk.com. He's an exclusive handicapper with us. And a quick reminder, we've got an unbelievable promo going this week. And I mean, we've really had an incredible amount of people who have purchased it. So, shout out to the guys who have purchased it. I can't thank you people enough, showing trust and loyalty with us. Guys who have not purchased it. I mean, to give you perspective, a 5% play is $35, and you can buy a 7-day all access pass for $69. This is the lowest we sell it all year. We do this on Thanksgiving every year. It is our most sought after promo. So please take advantage of our Thanksgiving special. $69, 7-day all access. That includes all 5% plays, all sports, etc. Adam Trigger, you're going to have college basketball, NBA, NFL, college football, everything going over those 7 days. Tell us what you've got up for our clients now.
Yeah, so I have a 5% play on Thanksgiving in the NFL. Most recent 5% play was a winner on the Texans 2 weeks ago. Another winning NFL week last week. Only 3 plays, but still went 2-1. And since the beginning of the 2021 season, I'm up over 70 units in the NFL. Back-to-back winning seasons. I hope to get there with a winning season again in the NFL this year. And I'm going to give you the only thing I've played so far today in just a minute here. So one play up. I didn't even put it up. I'm going to give it to you for free.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in 1 second. Big Daddy going to Vegas tomorrow. Big Daddy kick ass, brother. Teddy, what's the game he should play?
Tomorrow?
No, at the casinos. What's your casino game, Teddy?
Oh, the game of the. So if you want to sit and play at the casinos and drink and not lose any money, the answer is Pai Gow.
Pai Gow
is the answer. You play all night long. Yep, you can drink, and you won't have many decisions, and that's the goal. If you're sitting at a table game.
I'm with you 100%, Teddy. If you want to make some money but be a very hated man, just play the don't pass line on craps all night.
That's always fun.
Well, but it is the best odds in the casino. But it's not a lot of fun. But you know what, Teddy? When has making a lot of money been fun? The end result is fun.
When you're sports betting. When you're sports betting and winning, it's a ton of fun.
Screaming at the television set like a lunatic, turning your woman down because you're mad. Yeah. Unbelievable fun.
When you're winning, not when you're losing. When you're winning, sports betting's super fun.
Fair enough. You're going to the Colgate Harvard game tonight. Don't know if you know this, but Colgate is known for hockey.
Yes.
Tell us
Yes.
how to bet
Toothpaste.
the Colgate. Oh, yeah, and toothpaste. Yes, and toothpaste.
Yeah, so
thank you.
So Prez, actually, I got a bolt as soon as I'm off of this. This is a 2 p.m. game. So remember, this is a 2 p.m. Eastern game, Central New York, Cotterell Court, Colgate, Harvard. And I just want to, first I want to touch on the line. So I gave this out to clients this morning at 4.5. I knew that this was going to move against me because he had already started to steam up. And I'm willing to fade that. And now you're getting actually an extra point or half point to a point, depending on where you're going to bet this better of a number than I am. But I don't mind that because I saw the Colgate action coming in. I knew I was going to want to fade it. I just wanted to get the play up early for subscribers. So nothing wrong with 5 or 5.5 here. I'll be grading it at 4.5. But I really like Harvard in this spot. So a couple things with this Colgate team. First, I mean, obviously they're going to be priced as a premium option. They've won the Patriot League basically every year for the past 5-6 years, 4 NCAA tournaments over that span. And this Colgate team, though, is as opposed to the years past, there's some different things that Coach Matt Langle is doing. I got a chance to sort of listen to him talk last year, about the team and wanting to get over the hump in the NCAA tournament. And then this summer, got to hear him talk about the makeup of this team. And he said, you know what, we have to play with the 2 7-footers. So that's Keegan Records and Jeff Woodward. In years past, Woodward has come off the bench, but now he's one of their best players. And so what Colgate's trying to do early in the season is play their spread out, no dribble, get a good 3-point shot type offense with 2 big men on the floor. And it's also sort of, hindered their defense a little bit at times as well. So while they sort of figure out how to play with the new personnel, I'm willing to go against them because I feel like they're constantly laying a premium number, which is the case here. Harvard, for the first time in 15 years, Prez, Harvard had back-to-back losing seasons in the Ivy League. It just hasn't happened under Tommy Amaker, but it did the last 2 years. And the Ivy League's really good. So if you're looking at Ivy League previews, Harvard's, they're ranked like 5th or 6th, but that's not really a knock on Harvard because the teams ahead of them, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, all outstanding teams this year. And so I think they're underrated a little bit for that reason. Another reason I think they're underrated is because last year this team could not score. And this year, a freshman by the name of Malik Mack walked through the door, and he's averaging 21 points per game through the first 5 games of his college career. Harvard was excellent defensively last year, so I fully expect them to defend hard this year, but they're getting a little bit more scoring in the early going than I thought they were going to. Harvard's already 4-1. They have road wins over Rice and UMass. The UMass win was especially impressive to me because I think that's a team that's playing a little bit better than people expected them to this point. So I just think this is too many points. I would not be surprised if Harvard wins this game. But right now, laying any sort of premium number with Colgate while they sort of figure out their style with this new contrast of players in the starting lineup, I think is a good bet. I cashed with a big bet on Yale over the weekend against Colgate, and I'm going to go back against them here. So Harvard plus the points, 4.5, 5, 5.5, whatever you see out there is good. I think Harvard actually wins this game.
There we go. So anybody going to the game today, please take note that Adam will be wearing a Colgate shirt.
That's right.
So that he fits in.
Anyone that wants to go to the game, DM me on Twitter.
Harvard.
I'll get you a ticket. If you want to go to the game, you're in the area, which most people aren't because Hamilton's in the middle of nowhere. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll get you a ticket, and we'll get you in with us.
Yeah, and you can also wear a Colgate shirt and cheer for Harvard. Adam Trigger, everyone, thank you for joining us. Teddy covers so much more on this show, my friend. We got Eric Pauly coming up. I love listening to Eric. He's got a bet for us on the Packers game, as well as a prop bet for us on the Dallas game. Steve Merril ending the show. He's got a bet for us on the Packers and Lions game and the Kentucky-Louisville college football game on Saturday. Brother, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
So we got to talk about things we're thankful for today, really, and realistically. There's a lot of things I'm thankful for. And at this time of the year, we want to talk about it and recognize it. Look, I lost a big ticket last night. 5% big ticket was a wrong side from the opening tip. And I still have a job this morning. And I still have a bankroll this morning. In my postmortem after the game, I realized I had completely misinterpreted reading between the lines of a Will Hardy quote. And I was wrong. I'm still 13-2 last 15 NBA, and I'm thankful for being able to lose a big play and still be around. I'm thankful for the kind words I get in the comments every day. Very flattering, really, for the videos, for this show. It's much appreciated. I'm really thankful for the staff behind the scenes that make everything work right. Guys that don't get a lot of pub on air. We always talk about Johnny and Missy and M2, and they all deserve thanks. But let's talk about the guys in Detroit behind the scenes. Chris Allen, Lexi Christie, Kyle Cargill, all right, who make these shows go on air and get them out to everyone. Joe Ranieri, Dan Alexander, Robert Harris, Eric Garcia, all the guys who make this show run and all the Wager Talk programming run. I want to thank each and every one of them personally on air. Even thankful for Prez a little bit. I'm not sure why, but I'm thankful for him, I guess. I'm thankful that I can take Thanksgiving weekend off the show and Merril can host. Reminder, no show tomorrow. Merril will be filling in for me on Friday. We'll be back on Monday with regular program, including the NFL opening line report. I'm thankful I have a wife and a kid that put up with me working every night and gambling for a living, and an extended family that supports me in what I do. Most of all, well, not most of all, but I'm also thankful for this platform that allows me to share my knowledge. It allows me to give my opinions. It allows me to learn from others in a rising tide lifts all boats mindset. And I'm thankful to each and every one of you who take time out of your busy day to watch Prez and I every day, or even once in a while here on Wager Talk Today. Legit. Have a safe and happy holiday, and hopefully win a bet or two throughout the day. Lawrence, that's what I learned.
Wow.
How thankful I am.
Wow. I mean, listen, what stood out to me is that you're almost thankful for me, yet you're thankful for everything I created.
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
That's
I
what you're
was
gonna
the
get.
one. I go down
All
as
you
the
do.
co-founder of Wager Talk. However, I'm actually the founder. I was the one that reached out to Marco and Johnny and you and Merril. So it's really awesome that you're thankful for everything I created and only a little thankful for me. Hey, you can buy that mug at wagermerch.com, and you can get 20% off using the promo code MERCH20. Teddy, what a beautiful sentiment that you just made, and it's so true. And it's I mean, I feel exactly the same way. For me, obviously, I'm thankful for my wife. Well, she's not my wife. She's my wife. We lived together for a million years. My kids, et cetera, et cetera. Dude, I'm thankful for our friendship, for all the shit that we talk about. You and I are there for each other when we are in dark places, and we go there. We have bad days. We have bad weeks. Behind the scenes, you and I are incredibly close friends. I'm thankful for that. You can mock. Okay. Bugger off. But in all seriousness, dude, I'm most thankful for this show. This show has been a godsend for me. All the guys in here just are incredible. The chat room guys. Every day I get excited to do the show. It never, ever ends. And I'm also unbelievably thankful to Johnny Detroit and Rick Alec for doing the heavy lifting at Wager Talk. Marco and I are co-owners of this site, but without Johnny and Rick, this business would not be where it is today. And the team, I mean, everybody but Dan. I could do without Dan, Teddy. Like, between me and you, I could do without Dan.
Dan's the best one.
I know.
Dan's the best one.
He's the only one listening. Guys, check out my
but he is.
Look at my shirt. My favorite team changes every 3 hours. Go get one at wagermerch.com. Eric Pauly joining us. Eric, please don't list all the things you're thankful for. Let's just get into it, brother. You got to bet for us on the Green Bay Packers. Here, let's hear about it.
Yeah, I'll save the I'm thankful spiel, which I am, though, so I will put that out there, but I'll try to just give you guys two winners for tomorrow to really show my thanks. And we'll start with the early game. We have the Green Bay Packers headed to Ford Field, take on the Lions. And I like the Packers team total over 17.5 here. Got it at minus 125 on DraftKings earlier today. And this game, the total opened at 45.5. It is now ticked up to, 47. So the books are expecting more points in this game, and I kind of wanted to dig in and see why. When you take a look at the Lions defense since week 6, it starts to make a lot of sense because this defense has been really, really bad, and that includes the Week 6 game where they only allowed 6 points to the Buccaneers. But take a listen to some of these defensive metrics for the Lions. 27th in dropback success rate, 26th in EPA per play, 29th in general success rate, and 27th in dropback EPA. Now, those are some of the worst numbers you can ask for a defense. That's a clear passing funnel right now. And talking about this team total, 17.5, 3 of the last 4 opponents the Lions have faced this season have gone over that total, including just 7 of 10 all year. And the Packers, they've gone over this number in 7 of 10 games that they've played this season, including the early season matchup between the Packers and Lions. But that was obviously a blowout. The Packers did a lot of scoring in the second half, but we have Jordan Love coming off his second best game of the season. And yes, no, Aaron Jones is tough, but Jordan Love, what he loves to do is air the football out for better or for worse. While he has a low completion percentage over expected, he still leads the NFL with 18 completions of 30 yards or more. And this Detroit Lions defense is 29th in average depth of target on defense. So Jordan Love's going to be throwing the ball down the field, and that's good for 2 reasons. One is if he completes, that's going to lead to points. But even if he throws incomplete passes or turnovers, it's going to lead to a lot of stopped clock. We know the Lions are going to be scoring. And even if this game does become a blowout again, there will be opportunities for the Packers to score in the second half and go over this relatively low team total number. So with a few avenues to get there, I think this Packers offense finally hitting its stride a little bit against this Lions defense that has been terrible for the last couple of weeks. So I think the Lions certainly do win this game and can certainly win this game by margin. But I think asking the Packers just to score 18 is a very good bet, and that's a bet I love to make.
So I'm curious. It seems like you're leaning, I would say Detroit's live to cover this game, but you're giving us a Packers team total over as opposed to a full game over. I'm curious why you made that choice. You're like, the Lions might blow them out, Lions could kill them, but you're like Green Bay's the side as opposed to the full game over the total. Talk about how you decided not to use Detroit's offense, the piece of that equation.
Yeah, so just pricing, right? So if you look at the team total market for the Lions, you're having a 24.5 out there because that makes sense. The spread is 7.5, and you're still getting juice to the over there. So more of just a situation where I could see that this game going over the total. I can also see the Lions winning by 14 like they did last week, or the first time these two teams played. And in that situation, yes, the game went over. Yes, the Lions covered, but the Packers also went over their team total, which is also the same as this number. So I just really think that honing in on the Packers, I think that their value actually lies in on fading the Lions defense. And we know Detroit's going to score points. They average 30-plus points per game in the last couple of seasons at Ford Field. But I think that a way to kind of just put everything into a simpler bet is just to focus in on the Packers, because this Lions defense, when you take a look at it, has been really, really bad since about 6 weeks now.
Eric, look, not a lot of room for error on this bet. Green Bay, they've gone over 20 points twice in their last 9 games. I get it. Detroit has got a bad D, but man, I don't think you got a lot of room for error on that bet. CD Lamb. Not a lot of room for error on this one either, brother. Where are we going?
We're going over the traditional line. We're going to the alt line market. I'm taking CD Lamb 100-plus. At DraftKings, his normal line is 89.5. That was, I think, minus 120, minus 125. 100-plus is plus 120, and I'll gladly take the plus money with the upside of Lamb in this matchup. And this is a situation where everybody knows that the Washington pass defense is the worst in the football. We've seen this total creep up from 45.5 to now 47, 48, even some 49s out there, actually. So we've clearly some interest in that total. The over is something that we did give out on the Gold Sheet as a free play. It's a 3% play on WagerTalk, so that's to show us where the head's at. But when you're hitting an over of 48.5, it's going to take 2 teams to tango. So I don't think that the Cowboys are just going to blow out the Commanders and just run the football. CD Lamb is the focal point of the Cowboys offense. He is one of the 3 best wide receivers in football currently playing right now. And Washington's defense, I'm just going to list the numbers, and you can tell me if you want to fade this at this point, but 30th in passing EPA, 27th in neutral pass rate, meaning people will throw the ball all over them all the time, 28th in explosive pass rate, and 31st in average depth of target. CD Lamb is one of the best deep threats down the field for the Cowboys and in football. And also, lastly, the Washington Commanders are 31st in EPA in the middle of the field where CD Lamb does most of his damage is in the middle of the field or deep out to the corners. So that's just a great situation for Lamb. And then to make matters worse, DVOA, Washington is the last or the worst DVOA against wide receiver ones, allowing those wide receiver ones to have a 9.2 catches per game for over 102 yards a game. So in a game that we think will be a track meet, I think this should be closer than the 12.5 spread. The total will be getting into play. I think we'll see Dak slinging the football over the place, and CD Lamb will be the beneficiary. And 100 plus, I know it sounds like a lot to do. Like you said, Prez, a tough number to hit, not much margin for error. Kind of needs to be involved early and often. I think there's no reason why he won't be, and I love this at plus money especially.
So the Commanders had one of the most bizarre stats you'll ever see last week, where they sacked Tommy DeVito 9 times and still gave up 34 points and 260 passing yards, whatever it was, to a quarterback that is pretty dicey. But the pass rush was there. Do you worry at all about Washington's pass rush affecting Dallas and their ability to throw downfield in this game to see if the Cowboys will be dinking and dunking as opposed to chucking the CD deep?
I'm a Washington Commanders fan. There is no concern whatsoever. KJ Henry, F.A. Obata, James Smith-Williams, those guys are borderline NFL talent that are just playing for a roster spot. So, no, I have no concern. The Giants' offensive line is terrible, and Tommy DeVito has negative pocket presence, which is what led to those sacks. So, no, I do not anticipate Washington having a good day on their defensive line. I will say why I think Washington, though, will keep this game closer is because they turned it over 6 times. You can't win a football game when you're playing with your friends in the park when you turn it over 6 times. And they even had a chance to go win that football game against a terrible Giants team last week. So not really making a case for Washington here. I'm talking CeeDee Lamb, but no, I do not think that Washington is going to be able to apply any magic pressure or all of a sudden change this defense that through 12 weeks has been the worst in football defending the pass, especially on a short week in Dallas where the Cowboys love to beat up and flex their muscles on bad opponents. No, I do not think Washington has anything they could pull out of the hat defensively in this one. Slow down Lamb.
Eric, you married?
I am not, no.
I was just curious because what the piece behind you, that piece of art behind you, I can never see what it is, but I thought maybe it was a. Tell me the word, everybody. No. There's a word. Not a marriage.
I'm at my parents' house right now, so whatever that was a gift that they got during their wedding. They're hanging up, so I'm at my parents' house. So I think it is something.
Yeah, it is what I think it is. It is what I think it is, guys. Put up in the comment section what you think that is. Dan, throw it to that piece. Dan, Daniel,
throw it to that piece.
Yeah, over Eric's shoulder. Well,
he can't lose Eric's camera.
He could zoom in on it. He can give an expanded screen on Eric. There you go. Tell us what that piece is behind Eric. Okay, Dan's mad at me because I negatively shouted him out for Thanksgiving. Eric Pauly, unbelievable work. We love having you with us. He's on the gold sheet. Eric, if you're still here, what do you have to promote?
I am here, and while we're talking football, we have a 4% play going for tomorrow, as well as that Washington total and this Lamb play. Those were both client plays. But we're heating up on the hardwood. 17-4 the last 7 days, number 1 on WagerTalk in the NBA for plus 26.4 units. Absolutely amazing, killing player props, sides, and totals. So definitely check in. Don't forget about the NBA. We have 14 games tonight. We'll have a package up for that as well. But it's been a hot stretch on the hardwood for the Gold Sheet team.
Awesome stuff, Eric. Thanks, man. Every Wednesday, you take time out of your day to join us. Really appreciate it. Teddy covers. One of our listeners, Priest, writes, he's more excited about American Thanksgiving than Canadian Thanksgiving, and he's Canadian. I don't even know when Canadian Thanksgiving is. So that's how irrelevant Canadian Thanksgiving is, at least to me and the majority of Canadians. But I love American Thanksgiving. I'm going to work out tomorrow during the Dallas game. Brother, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Let's do it. Big game breakdown. Let's talk some Turkey Day NFL. This is a game we've talked about in all different ways. Let's talk about the side and the total for the Cowboys and the Commanders. Right now, look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. If you like Dallas, bet them sooner rather than later. The 11s are gone. The 11.5s are gone. There's 12s across the board right now. Total sitting 48.5. We've seen a ton of over money for this game. We may well see more. And Ralph Michaels sent me a chart talking about how awful the Dallas Cowboys have been against the spread on Thanksgiving for more than a decade. Just 1-10 against the spread. And of course, Dallas is at home every year for Thanksgiving. 1-10 against the spread their last 11 Turkey Day games. What does that have to do with this year's game? Not much, in this bettor's opinion. I'm not expecting more of the same. And this year's Cowboys team may well be better than any Cowboys team we've seen over the past decade. Look, Washington was a seller at the trade deadline. Ron Rivera, last time he had a short week, he couldn't get his team ready. They lost 40-20 to the Bears at home. And from all indications, Rivera's not coming back. The management's not coming back. Half the players will be gone. It's new ownership. This is a lame duck situation now for the Washington Commanders. And oh, by the way, this team hasn't even had their bye yet. They're playing their second Thursday game. They played a physical game on Sunday. They're exhausted. They're physically depleted. They're on a short week with travel, and they're not any good. And Washington's defense allowed more explosive plays than any team in the NFL. Eric Pauly was just talking about that in his analysis from the Gold Sheet. You know, that's bad news against the Cowboys' big play passing game. The Commanders have allowed more than 4 touchdowns on 7 different occasions. Not a defense that can be trusted to get stops against anyone. And obviously, we saw them get 9 sacks last week and still allowed the Giants to score 31 on them. Dallas is obviously a whole lot better than the Giants. 6 of the Cowboys' 7 victories this season have come by 20 points or more. This offense is good enough to build big margins. This defense is good enough to hold them. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Dallas wins this game by 2 touchdowns or more. I'm not expecting all that much drama on Turkey Day. And let's not forget another Ralph Michaels angle. And this one is meaningful, really meaningful to me. Ron Rivera, in his coaching career as a road underdog of +7 or higher. So you have a particular coach and the way he approaches games where his team is outclassed over a full career. How about this? 20 overs, 2 unders for Ron Rivera as a road dog of 7 or higher. Long-term trend that is meaningful. Cowboys and over. You're playing both. I think you'll go 1-1 or better. Lawrence?
I agree, man. I like that over bet too, Teddy. I was looking at it. It has been bet up. I'd like to spend an hour talking about these trends and stats and, you know, how you factor them into your sports betting. I don't. In all seriousness, it's very rare that I care whether a team on a Tuesday night after a win as a double-digit dog has a 20-1 record over the last 21 games. I never factor that stuff into my handicapping. There are some that are important, and I think that the one you mentioned with Ron Rivera makes logical sense. But for me personally, as a handicapper and a professional bettor, I very rarely take any of that stuff into account. Do you?
So why look for stuff like this Ron Rivera trend? Okay. You talk about, oh, so-and-so on a Tuesday when they're laying between 4 and 7. Yeah, all that. There's a lot of crap out there for trends and angles. There are. But there's meaningful stuff.
Yep.
That is both. You can find coach-specific stuff that's very meaningful. That might be the most meaningful of all.
I agree. 100%.
Find a good
100%
coach-specific trend. This is the way this coach approaches these type of games.
Yep.
And this is exactly that. There's not 600 parameters. It's this coach as a road dog of 7 points or higher. And this is how he approaches those games. And in my mind, that's very meaningful. And it's meaningful long-term. So there's lots of trends and angles I don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
But there's more than a handful that I do. And that's what we talk about the team we built at WagerTalk, or you've built at WagerTalk. Ralph Michaels. Is there anyone better in the world at doing this than Ralph Michaels coming up with, literally, he is the best in the world at coming up with these trends and angles. Or certainly one of the best. He's at
best.
The highest of the high caliber. Yeah. So
the best. And listen, he got his start.
Respect for what Ralph does.
Yeah, dude. And he got to start with Phil Steele. He was putting those books together. I mean, this is not new for Ralph. He's been the best at this for decades, and we're appreciative of him because, every day he's putting up trends and stats for you and I to help better the show, even when he's not on. Teddy, before we bring Steve Merril in, a bunch of business quick. Guys, we need 125 likes. We're at 78. Super weird. I think this has been a great show. Plus, the last presidential address, I went 2-1 for you all, and I got a lot of plays to give out on today's daily presidential address. Might not happen, though, Teddy. I'm not negotiating. It's 125 likes or no presidential address. The other thing is, Carmine Bianco and I both have a 5% play in hockey tonight. They are on different games. And what we did, Carmen and I were both on puck time this morning, and we decided, and I don't think this has ever been done, we have combined our 5% plays, Teddy. So you, instead of buying just
one package.
Or just Carm, it's one package for both 5% plays, and it's basically you buy one, get one free. It's literally $35 to buy Carm's, $35 to buy mine, or $35 to buy both. With that said, I don't want to leave Brian Leonard out. He is the number one NHL expert lifetime, the number one NHL expert this year, and he has a 5% play as well. We did not combine it with ours because he wasn't on puck time, and we wanted to make it a puck time thing. But shout out to Brian Leonard. Also, my favorite guest on WagerTalk Today. No offense, Steve Merril. Welcome to the show.
I take tremendous offense to that because I was expecting to hear my name. And yes, Canadian Thanksgiving was Monday, October 9th. You obviously did not celebrate it. I did, of course, along with Teddy Covers. And Teddy, that actually was a great segment on the thankfulness. I think it's actually something very important people do on a regular basis throughout the year. Just be thankful for what they have, especially when you look on what's going on in the rest of the world nowadays. And I'll tell a quick story. Best ever, years ago, we were going around the table to family Thanksgiving, like 12 people. And the host said, everybody give something to thankful. And it just carried on and carried on. And my father was the last one to go. And at the very end, he goes, I'm thankful this is over. Let's eat. Still one of the funniest things I've ever heard. So I always think of that when people are giving thanks, but it is important.
And you know, Steve, the craziest thing about that is it doesn't matter what country you live in, what religion you are, what race you are, what nationality, creed you are. Dad jokes never change. That is a classic dad joke. So shout out to Mr. Merril for that one. Right. Teddy, anything? You look like you want to talk.
No, I was enjoying Steve's story and getting ready to break down some games.
Okay, brother. Packers, Lions. Steve, -7.5 for the Lions. Total of 47 here. I break this game down fully in the NFL presidential address, which should be out in the next few hours. I'm curious where you're going.
It's interesting. Two good matchups. You know, the Lions and Cowboys always host, obviously. And we do often have the Packers play the Lions and not my Washington Commanders. Eric Pauly's Washington Commanders. He can gladly have them. I do remember the Redskin-Cowboy matchups when they mattered back years ago, though. But it's cool that we have some historic matchups on Thanksgiving. But this is a Lions team that's obviously a lot better than they've been in the past few years during those matchups. And 8-2 straight up, come from behind victory last week against the Bears. And I believe teams that were down by double digits less than 4 minutes to go were like 0-83 this season in the NFL, and the Lions pulled it off. They're the only team to do it. So this team is for real. Good offense, and that's where I want to look in this one is on the total. I did a standalone video earlier this week. We're going to post it tomorrow for this game near kickoff time. I also did a standalone for Commanders and Cowboys, which is up there right now. And one thing I did, I'll give you a little sneak peek for the video that's going to be up later on WagerTalk TV. I recommended the Lions in a 6-point teaser, and I still like that, by the way. Getting them from 7.5 down to -1.5, I think, is an excellent teaser. Puts them in a straight-up win situation. Covers those key margins of 3 and 7. But I also like the over in this game, and we have seen the money coming in the over by several points. I agree with that move. As we saw last week, Detroit's defense at times is suspect. Justin Fields and the mighty Chicago Bears did move the ball, and of course, the Ravens put up a ton of points on them a few games back as well. 38 points in that one recent loss. They've played some really weak offenses otherwise. Vegas, for example, Tampa, Carolina even put up 24. Chargers put up 38. And I know that maybe the Packers aren't the strongest offense. They've actually gone under 5 of their last 6. But we saw Love with a good game against that bad San Diego LA Charger defense last week. But I think he can carry that momentum into this game. And I like the over here. But once again, I also like the Lions on a 6-point teaser down to -1.5.
So the last time that there was more than 43 points in a Packers game came in September. Is that something you're concerned about here? Green Bay is just under. That's just the way they play. They did have the one game against Detroit, the first game, their highest scoring game of the season, which I think finished with 54. But how concerned are you that the Packers are playing low scoring games week after week after week after week after week after week after week?
Yeah, but you answered your own question. You're right. The one time they didn't was against this same team, the Lions, though, 54 points. But yeah, I thought Andy Lang had a great stat last week right here on the show on WagerTalk Today when he talked about how every opposing quarterback had gone over the yardage total against the Chargers, and Love did it again last week. So that's 10-0, by the way. And I think Detroit is a very mediocre secondary. In fact, statistically, they are. If you look, they give up 6.5 yards per pass against teams that average 6.4. So I do think the Packers and Love have shown the ability to score and move the ball against subpar defenses, and I think that Detroit secondary qualifies.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. Steve, before we get into your Kentucky-Louisville game, what do you have to promote?
Yeah, fantastic special. It's site-wide. It's on my page as well. 7 days for $69, and I recommend people get that all-sports special. If you want to try out one play tonight, it's 25 as always, and it's not a bad NBA game to try out. It's my first NBA over-under this season. Last year, I had 6 totals the entire year, and I went a perfect 6-0, 100%. So not a bad time to try out an NBA over-under. I've got that on my page for Wednesday night. Get it right now for 25 or get 7 days and nights, football and basketball, for just 69. No promo code needed. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
There we go. Steve, Kentucky at Louisville. How do we bet this one?
Another standalone video I did, and we're going to put it up a little later this week, but it actually just went live about 20 minutes ago. So a sneak peek here if you haven't checked it out yet. I like Louisville in this game, and there's a few reasons why. First of all, I do a database simulation. I run 10,000 games through a simulation, and on average, I've got Louisville winning this game by 13 points. When I did the video earlier, it was 6.5. Now it's 7. So I wanted to do a quick update. I still like Louisville at -7 or less. That's obviously a very key number. And once again, I project a 13-point win. And I have no problem playing against Kentucky for a couple reasons. First of all, obviously a team in a free-for-all. They've gone 1-5 straight up at ATS. Keep in mind, this is a team that started the season 5-0 straight up. And then they played at number 1 ranked Georgia. They got blown out 51-13. It was the first time all year Georgia had covered. They brought their A game. And then Kentucky had to play Missouri, Tennessee, a couple more losses. They took care of Mississippi State, a team that was in a bigger free-for-all, just fired their head coach right after that. And now they've lost to Bama and South Carolina. This is another good top 10 opponent, and they have not stepped up in class. And one of the reasons is because they don't throw the ball well. They're a run-based offense, and when they get behind, they have trouble catching up, and that's going to be the same situation here. Louisville's got a ton to play for with just 1 loss on the season, and I think they bring their A game here. I know Kentucky qualifies as a rival dog, but this is a rival game for Louisville as well. And I was impressed with the win last week at Miami. I thought that was going to be the game that got Louisville. It didn't. I look for them to ride that momentum this week. And once again, I just don't think Kentucky can catch up once they get behind.
Do you worry at all about this spot? I know it's a rivalry game, but you worry at all that, that was a tough, physical, down to the wire, last minute nail biter last week. Ton of energy used for Louisville. And the more important game, the much more important game, is for the ACC title next week. Is this a survive and advance type of game? Because now, with the point spread being bet up the way that it has, they've got to win by more than a touchdown. And certainly, this has been a very one-sided series in recent years. It's been all Kentucky, not so much Louisville.
Yeah, that's actually what makes me worry less, Teddy, because I thought your follow-up would probably be, do you worry about the rival dog? And I think that's an excellent point, because this time of year, we do start to kind of look for reasons to play some of these underdogs and with the inferior teams. But the fact that Louisville hasn't been necessarily the dominant team in this series, and it is such an in-state rival for both of them, I'm not sure Louisville feels like a touchdown favorite here. And I also like the fact that Louisville's strength this year has been their run defense. They've been very mediocre against the pass, but they've been strong against the run, almost a yard per rush better on average than opponents they faced. And that once again is a key matchup here. So yes, those are concerns. And there's always concerns with every play. There's no 100% slam dunk. But I still think Louisville's got the edge on the line of scrimmage, and they'll win this one by more than a touchdown.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. And Steve, you joined us late, man. We had Kevin Dolan scheduled for the show, but he had to travel. Thank you for filling in for him. You're also going to be filling in for me December 4th to the 13th. I appreciate that. You're going to have
He's filling in for me on Friday, too. He's Steve Merril. It's just a jack of all trades.
Not.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not.
Oh.
Marco is.
I could, Teddy, but you asked me, and then you'd already asked Andy before I got back to you, I think. But let me know.
Marco is filling in on Friday. Marco.
Here we go.
I don't know.
Teddy, stop asking people to just tell me when you're away and let me do my thing. Steve, you got a big family situation planned for tomorrow?
Yeah, in this time of year, which is nice because obviously this is a busy time. The one downside to being a pro sports bettor, pro handicapper, as you guys know, is that you don't necessarily get weekends off, and the holidays you don't necessarily get off either. That's the one downside to this business. But yeah, no problem with filling in late today, Prez, because I did the college basketball show, doing the NBA show, the college football show later. Also getting my top 25 video up for tomorrow on Thursday. NFL Fade the Public this Saturday. So enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, but a lot of work to do this week, to say the least.
There we go. Steve Merril. Teddy covers. We got to 141 likes. Daniel Son, it's time for the daily presidential address. Okay, guys, I've got a lot of plays to give out on this video. Every single one of the plays I'm giving out, I'm personally betting. I also have a 3% play up in NHL for my clients. I'm going to give that out too because it's Thanksgiving. Before we get into that, again, I got to make mention. I have a 5% NHL total. My 5% NHL totals are 75% in the last 2 years. 75% win rate on my 5% NHL totals in the last 2 years. Carmine Bianco has a 5% as well. You can get both of those plays in one package in a 2-for-1 deal. And Brian Leonard has a 5% NHL play too, and he's our number one NHL expert lifetime and this season. Okay, so let's get into it. My 3% play. This is for my clients. I'm giving it out for free, and I am stepping in front of an 0-9 run. The Columbus Blue Jackets have lost 9 games in a row. We're betting them tonight. And they're minus 150. And we're betting them. I love the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight. I also love the over in the Edmonton Oilers Carolina game. I love the under in the Dallas Vegas game. And for tomorrow, I like Detroit minus 7.5, guys. I think Detroit is going to blow this team out. One of the best angles for me personally as a handicapper is playing on a team, a good team that won their previous game but sucked. And that is the exact spot Detroit is in. It's one of my favorite betting angles of all time. Detroit is in that spot. They won their last game, plus they stunk. They're going to blow Green Bay out tomorrow. That's it, Teddy. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You guys all mean the world to me. All the staff at WagerTalk, all the handicappers at WagerTalk. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope the ball bounces in the direction you need. I hope your children don't annoy you. I hope your wife takes care of your every need. I hope if you're a woman, your husband takes care of your every need. Tomorrow is going to be a family day for everybody. Enjoy it. Lots of love. Teddy, we'll see you Friday. Take us home.
You won't see me Friday. You already got the guest, the host, to fill in for me on Friday. You'll see me on Monday. That being said, I agree with Prez's sentiments. Again, no show tomorrow. Look, we got to give the staff a day off. They deserve it. But WagerTalk Today will be back on Friday with all of our usual programming and content. Enjoy the games. Best of luck with your wagers. Thank you for watching WagerTalk Today.
Oh.